Hello, my name is Mars, and welcome back to Beacon Pines. The branches have once again led us to the original Beacon Pines, this frozen wasteland of a town, and we are chasing Mr. Nuncreed this time, who... I don't know what his intentions are at this point. He seems to want to protect us. He's not afraid that we know too much anymore. He ran away to do something when he learned that our grandmother was involved. Alright, we haven't seen the sign yet as this version of Luca, so we're gonna look at it. This looks familiar, yeah. Maybe we can clear off the snow. No time, Nuncreed's getting away. Oh, we can't do the snowball throwing this time? Okay. Where did he go? Okay, this is starting to feel really familiar. I may not be the most well-versed in all things Beacon Pines, but this does look like some sort of frozen replica of town. Ah, I got it! It's so obvious now! Mr. Nuncreed is an alien! Rello, stick with me here. His species can only live in sub-zero temperatures. Oh boy, here we go. The source is their base camp dimension, so naturally they keep it cold. We found it by traveling through those metallic wormholes back there. The final objective? Kill us all, and shapeshift into a Beacon Pine citizen of their choosing. You never really had me, but you very much lost me there. You get used to it. We should keep moving. Okay. We can just cross the lake. We don't need to use the bridge.
As they rounded the corner to the frozen town square, they spotted Mr. Nuncreed inching cautiously toward a pit at its center. He held his arms out gingerly, as if approaching a beast in the wild.
There's Gran.
Upon closing the distance, Luca recognized what Nuncreed was after. Gran stood confidently at the edge, one arm outstretched over the abyss. Nearby, a wheelbarrow had been emptied out. She held a lit torch, which flickered in the bitter wind.
Juniper, I don't know what you think you're doing, but I assure you this is not going to solve anything. If you drop that, you've doomed this whole town. Oh, it wasn't me who doomed this town. I've been watching you, Joseph. I know what you've done. You and your co-conspirators. Gran? What's happening? Luca, you and your friends need to leave right this moment.
Mr. Nuncreed turned back toward the kids, desperation in his eyes.
Listen to your grandma, Luca. This is between me and Juniper.
Rollo and Beck held steadfast in awe. Luca approached closer. Mr. Nuncreed spun back toward Gran, his voice growing louder.
You've got it all wrong, Juniper. Just hand over that torch. You don't understand what you're doing. How could I possibly trust you to do the right thing? Walt told me everything. He trusted you, and you betrayed that trust. Luca, did you know that this man's entire life is a lie? If it weren't for him, your father might still be alive.
Mr. Nuncreed winced with anguish. His voice hardened.
That's not true.
They both now yelled, not to each other, but at fate itself, making their peace with long-held burdens. The wind howled with encouragement.
Walt was like a brother to me. We just had different ideas about how to effect change. Very convenient that your way just happened to lie in your pockets. Now that's not fair.
They menaced at each other, both catching their breath. The moment balanced on a knife's edge. Amid a blur of emotions and memories, Luca's mind flooded with questions. The wind calmed, as if to give him the stage.
And in the stillness, he began to weep or hum. Well, since I remember getting hum from the opposite branch, from when Iggy was dangling Mr. Kerr into the pit and he started losing it and beginning to sing. So I have a feeling that weep is gonna, send us down the bad end, so I'll probably try that first. Um, so this is kind of the wrong moment to make this observation, but how old is Mr. Nuncreed in comparison to Juniper? Because if Walt was Juniper's son, and Mr. Nuncreed and Walt were good friends, like brothers, he said, is his crush on Gran like a Stacy's mom situation kind of thing? Like, is he actually not as old as her? It's like, I have a crush on my friend's mom and I still do. Like, I don't know. That's what the clues are pointing me towards. Okay, so we're gonna weep. Both because I think that this will lead us to the bad end, and we want to get that out of the way first, and also just because he's a kid, that's what he would do in a situation like this.
And in the stillness, he began to weep. It was all just too much. Falling to his knees, Luca whimpered softly. The tears crystallized as they hit the snow. Gran stared at Luca for a moment with warm sympathy, remembering why this was all necessary.
This'll all make sense soon, Luca. Then everything can go back to normal. I promise.
She stiffened up and brandished the torch at Mr. Nuncreed.
Oh no. You can't hide behind those people any longer, Joseph. Once their precious source is destroyed, we'll see where their loyalties fall. Juniper, don't!
Ignoring his final plea, Gran flung the torch into the deep darkness.
Yep, okay, so that quote-unquote reminded her why this was necessary, why she needed to do this for Luca, but ultimately she's ending his life by freezing him alive. I don't know why she doesn't
smiled
realize that.
And exhaled in relief. Mr. Nuncreed moaned in resignation. The torch echoed as it ricocheted down the hole, punctuated with a thunderous thud.
You see, Joseph, I've learned one very important lesson in life. If you want things to change, then you must be willing to...
Before Gran could finish, the ground shook her to silence. Gran only had time to spin around and run to Luca. Her attempt to shield him, an honorable but trifling act. Unflinching love, pitted against an unthinking horror. There was no contest. Her warm embrace froze in an instant. That is where they remain, fixed in place, forever. And so, our story ends on this melancholy scene. In a town brought low by its secrets, sits the frozen statues of a misguided band of meddlers. The end. Well, that was dire. On the bright side, we finally figured out where all the ice is coming from. Now, we just need to find a way to deal with a mystic, unfathomable force of nature.
Alright. We're gonna hum. Let's see. I don't remember getting any charms since the last time we switched branches, but let's just see. Are there any other branching points? This one. This one we still haven't found another branch to. And it's the only one that... Okay, I see. The ones that end in bad endings. I see. They all end in, like, leaves. But this one is still open. It hasn't led to an ending yet. And this one is still open. It hasn't led to an ending yet. Interesting. I feel like we're getting close. It could be that this path, reading Mr. Nuncreed correctly, his expression correctly, this could be the thing that saves everything. Okay, so let's hum.
and in the stillness, he began to hum. After the death of his father, Luca had trouble sleeping. Each night, his mother would sit at the foot of his bed and hum a gentle melody. It was the only thing that could calm his mind, the only thing that, however briefly, could make it all seem okay. That melody pervaded every memory Luca had of his mother, shivering in the raw snow. He began to hum it out loud. Gran lowered the torch, listening closely. As recognition slowly set in, her heart sank. Those countless nights of consolation, the incomparable loss they shared together. She let the torch fall to the snow and sizzle out. A few steps toward Luca was all she could bear before dropping to the snow herself. Through a flood of tears, she began to hum along, note for note. Luca lifted his head in astonishment. The last time he heard that melody was the last night he saw his mother.
How do you know? I'm so sorry, my little buckaroo. Buckaroo? The only people who call me that are my dad and your mother.
Luca blinked through blurry, watery eyes, trying to see more clearly.
Oh my god. So she's not really Juniper. The substances in this place age you. They age you. Oh my god. I'm not gonna say the obvious conclusion here. I'm gonna wait for the game to say it, but...
He could just make out the impression of a familiar face. He peered across the snowscape at the woman on her knees. Something about her was undeniably his mother. Only smaller, older, changed.
Mom? That's right, buckaroo. Mom!
Luca sprinted as fast as he could toward his mother. They held each other close, and the cold retreated from their bodies.
Eleanor? I thought you were... gone. You should have known I would never abandon my son.
Eleanor looked down at Luca, tightening her embrace in an appeal for forgiveness.
How? You're a smart man, Joseph. I thought you'd have pieced it together by now. You were exposed. Mom, I don't understand any of this. What happened to you? Where did you go? Why did you leave me? God, I'm actually crying. I don't know. There's something about, like, parent-child reunions in particular that always, like... Oh, they make me cry every single time. Oh my god. And, okay, I have to admit, with the way this game, the overworld sprites are animated, it looked a little silly. But if I close my eyes and just listen to the humming, oh my god, that was beautiful. Okay. Why did you leave me? I never left you. I was always right here, Luca. Why did you lie to me? It tore me up, Luca, but I did it to keep you safe. I thought that getting answers would help us both move on. But the more I discovered, the more I realized the danger we were in. Until perennial harvest was stopped, it was better if everyone thought I was gone. You could have trusted me. These are bad people, Luca. They won't stop until they get what they want. And they don't care who gets hurt in the process. Then, what do? We have to stop them.
Joseph slumped into the cold, wet snow.
They can't be stopped. This is too big. I tried beating them at their own game. I'm done fighting fire with fire.
For the first time in a long time, her voice felt like her own again.
No more lies. I see now there's a better way to stop perennial harvest. The cold, hard truth.
Luca gazed down at Nuncreed with pity. He looked small. Joseph stared into the snow, as if searching it for answers.
Come on, everyone. We've got a party to crash. Oh. You don't understand. He always wins.
Chapter 9. The Devil You Know. 7 months ago.
Ooh, flashback.
Eleanor Van Horn crept down the maze of sterile hallways under perennial harvest. She stopped in front of the large steel door marked Deep Engineering. No turning back now. She raised a trembling hand. The stolen keycard worked as promised, and the door buzzed open with mechanical efficiency. She was immediately hit with the smell of disinfectant. It was some sort of laboratory. In one corner was a desk covered in papers. Across the room stood a tall metal pod with hoses protruding from its base. She rushed to the desk and began shifting through the piles of papers. They were experiment reports on something called Tempus Liquamen. There were dozens of them. Every one stamped failed.
Right, that's the thing that Nat was talking about, the Tempus Liquamen. That is the substance that is found in the source that I guess Perennial Harvest is harnessing.
Eleanor heard the sharp echo of footsteps approaching. She was out of time. Her eyes scanned the room, eventually landing on the strange pod. Muttering a curse under her breath, she dashed over and dove inside.
And that is what change is all about. Grabbing the future by the scruff of the neck and making things happen. Change is a choice. I am tickled pink that we will all be making that choice together. How great is that? This man is a liar. Excuse me. I will not. This town has a dangerous secret and Perennial Harvest only exists to keep it hidden. Nonsense. They picked up the whole damn town and moved it right under our noses. You aren't making any sense, dear.
Mr. Kerr addressed the crowd with a sarcastic tone.
Imagine such a thing. It's absurd and just plain impossible. They promised they could fix the foul harvest. They told us they would clean this place up. We just had to leave town for a few days. But while they had us evacuated. Mrs. Hartford, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to... You're afraid of a lot of things, aren't you? You sniveling little worm. This is growing tiresome. A little help, please. Don't you all see this festival is a sham? An excuse to have the whole town gather in one place. They're planning something awful. I don't know what, but these people are wicked. Don't listen to her. She has absolutely no proof. I am the proof. I'm Eleanor Van Horn.
Whispers filtered through the crowd.
Well, aren't you just sneaky as the dickens? We all knew Valentine's fertilizer was too good to be true. And now this whole town is paying the price. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so sorry about this disruption. My associates will take this obviously disturbed woman somewhere comfortable, so that she can get the help she needs. She's not the one who's disturbed. You two-timing clown. You all know there's something wrong with this town. It was just easier to look the other way. The truth is... That's quite enough, Mr. Nuncreed.
Torment dragged on Joseph Nuncreed's face.
Solomon? Yes, sir. Oh no. Another theory just came to me. It seems a little too ridiculous to speak out loud. What if Tempest Lacomine can also work the other way? What if Solomon is Sharper Valentine? That sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But Mr. Nuncreed just called him sir. Take them away. No, I want them to see this. Ah, the ever-tempestuous Eleanor Van Horn. You've been quite the thorn in my side, like a weed that's burrowed in where it doesn't belong. I must confess, you look dreadful.
He paused for a moment, plucking a piece of fuzz from his sweater and discarding it to the ground.
Consider yourself in rare company. You've managed to pull one over on me. It won't happen again. I knew you had some sort of plan to disrupt our little party. But alas, I expected something a bit more impressive than incoherent rambling. No matter, your failures are yours to bear. Mr. Kerr. Yes, sir. It's a shame it was cut short, but I thank you for that rousing oratory. I will take it from here. Yes, sir. Of course, sir. You have done quality work for me, William. You can look forward to the recompense we agreed upon.
Kerr gave a bow of deference.
Founder, you are most gracious. I think I'm right. I think I'm right.
Gasps rippled through the crowd.
Thankfully, we can dispense with the formalities from here on out.
Solomon pulled a glass vial from his pocket. In one smooth motion, he downed its contents. A triumphant smile grew across Solomon's lips.
You can all call me Sharper Valentine. Oh my god.
His body and face began to contort and expand as he disappeared into a belching green mist.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
A hushed horror gripped the crowd. This is a story about change.
What? No. So you didn't see that coming. Good.
Sharper examined his new hands.
Well, this is quite the improvement. Everything looks so much smaller now. Eleanor was right about one thing. The festival was a ruse. I wanted you all to witness my glorious return with your own eyes. Why does everyone look so downtrodden? This is a celebration, people. Maybe it would help if we set the mood. Mr. Kerr, be a dear and reveal the sign. Ha! Wonderful.
Sharper choked out a crude squawk of a laugh. Frustrated grumbles sprinkled through the crowd.
Sharper, you malicious bastard. Malice? Oh, that sounds like an emotion that we can read in Mr. Nuncreed's eyes. I'm glad you're back so I can tell you to your face. You destroyed this town. We ain't gonna let you get away with it again. Sorry, this is not the time for audience participation. Some assistance, Mr. Kerr.
William Kerr gave a subtle nod to the clipboards.
You coward! Does anyone else have something to contribute?
A helpless quiet settled over the crowd.
I thought so. Did you all truly believe you could be free of me? A town of complete and utter fools. You people should be celebrating my return. You're clearly lost without me. And that leads me nicely to my children. Daddy? Oh, poor Gus. I gave you both the greatest gift a parent can give. The opportunity to prove yourselves in my absence. Squandered. To say I am disappointed would be an understatement. But silence, Augustus, an adult is speaking. I don't know which is worse, a son who is completely hopeless, or a daughter with such potential who inevitably lets me down. Eris, you fail me with admirable consistency. Thankfully, I was counting on it this time. Father, I have been wasting time, my dear. What have you accomplished? I was focused on cementing our legacy. Legacy? Who needs a legacy when you can just live forever? But what about? It's all right, kiddo. I'm afraid you suffer from a complete lack of imagination. There's just no helping it. Now then, where is Joseph? You didn't take the opportunity to slip off, did you? Ah, there he is. Everyone should give him a hand. None of this would have been possible without Joseph. I think you've said enough. Nonsense, the people deserve to know how helpful and loyal you've been. I only did what I did because he left me no choice. You always had a choice, Joseph. You were simply too weak to take it. No matter. Cheer up. You're about to be rich beyond your wildest dreams. You should follow Mr. Kerr's example. When I found him, he was in a sorrier state than any of you. An aging actor, desperate to recapture his youth. He played his part, and soon he'll be able to play the leading man again. Forever, in fact, if he remains loyal. That goes for all of you. Well, those who haven't already frittered away my goodwill. Beacon Pines is mine again. And I am willing to share its spoils in exchange for absolute loyalty. Are you saying William Kerr was never in charge of Perennial Harvest? Ha! You think that puffed-up latherskite could have accomplished all of this? Dawn, I suppose it's time for your big exclusive.
Sharper addressed the crowd with indignant pride. He'd planned this moment for so long that now, at the deed's fruition, it almost felt frivolous.
You see, I needed a figurehead to hold things down while I orchestrated my return. Someone to misdirect, lie, and bilk this town for a spell. So I invented William Kerr. Take your bow. You've earned it.
Mr. Kerr flourished a preposterously elaborate bow.
Patrick C. Montesquieu, thespian extraordinaire, at your service. Founder, I just want to thank you again for this opportunity. It truly was the role of a lifetime. Wait, so this Bill Kerr was a Pat C the whole time? Oh my god. I feel like Bill Kerr is also a pun. I don't know what that would mean, but I know what Patsy means. Now that your secret is out in the open, what's to stop this town from rising up against you? Oh, that's the delicious part. Fear. Thanks to our clipboards, I know what each and every person in this town fears most. And I will make those fears manifest for anyone who steps out of line. The choice is simple. I'm not afraid of you. Ha! The young hero. I've kept a keen eye on you, boy. You and your friends made a habit of disrupting my plans. What a pity. If things would have gone a bit differently, you might have had your moment of triumph. But that's fate for you. You can't do this. Oh, but I can. I have won. Never underestimate what a great man can do given time. And now, time is my plaything. Perhaps the most expensive thing I've ever bought, but well worth it. Ha!
Sharper coughed up one final laugh and cracked his knuckles.
Enough chit-chat. Let's get to work, shall we?
And so, Sharper set about remaking the town in his own image. The fertilizer factory soon reopened for business. Sales rose steadily as more and more farmers across the countryside began to swear by its miraculous properties. Beacon Pines became famous, a secretive town that, for the right price, shared its gifts with all. Gifts that became more and more necessary in a world where winters grew longer and longer. The end. This is wrong, but things are becoming clearer now. You can feel it, right?
I feel like there's only one more branch to go.
We can't let Sharper win. He might just be the key to this whole thing. Let's see.
Yep, the only branch left. Oh, this one actually has a branch here. Another branch. Or maybe it just hasn't filled out. Yes, but now we have malice. We can see malice in Mr. Nuncreed's eyes. Oh boy. I think we're gonna take a look at what that means next time. But oh my god. 2 huge reveals. I don't know which would be more of a spoiler to title the episode. Eleanor Van Horn or Sharper Valentine. I might end up just titling the episode something completely different. These are the kinds of things I worry about. But man. I didn't see either of those reveals coming. But I think they were pretty well done. I feel like the clues were there. It just... Oof. I wasn't prepared for the extent to which this... I don't remember what the stuff is called. Tempest Liquidi or something like that. I've already forgotten what it's called. But, oof, I wasn't quite prepared for the extent of its powers. But, they're quite impressive. Alright. So, next time we will see malice in Mr. Nuncreed's eyes and maybe uncover this whole thing before he even gets a chance to mess things up. Either him or Sharper Valentine. So, until then, I have been Mars, and I will be back with more Beacon Pines.